Hello, my Teaserking family. I know I just tried it, but my I could see my mic was screwed up. So Daria's enjoying her day off today. All right. So, how's your Friday? So I woke up to good news, and now the news is going bad. So let's talk about it. Here's where you need to be stoic, but because you understand what's happening, you're okay. And of course, I'm talking gold and silver. So silver's down to 28.08, gold's down to 23.40. Now the interesting part is gold was up to 24.27 at 11:30, and I ran to the gold store and bought a quarter ounce maple leaf, right? And I bought 7 ounces of silver, roughly at 11:30ish. Now about 11 o'clock. I'm thinking the 10 o'clock down is done, and you can see this didn't start happening until about a little after 11. Right after I left, it started dropping. All right, Howard's in the store. Okay, now. And it's just, we know it's just derivatives. It's the Federal Reserve, for whatever reason, playing the derivative game to get the price down. It's not physical demand, it's nobody's selling. Everybody's buying, and this is just going to make them buy at a cheaper price. Silver at 28.07. So it's still okay. It's above 28. Gold, it's in the 23.40s. It's fine. So if we look at the picture, we can see it's just straight down for basically 3 hours now. From 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, it's just derivative bullshit. The Federal Reserve screwing over everybody. So they can do what they can. But when we look at the silver price, this is even more ridiculous. So silver does the exact same trajectory, but if we look, went from 28 like 80 all the way up to 29.72. It's going to hit 30, right? No problem. And we've passed the 10 o'clock. It didn't drop. So now they're screwing around with us. They're not dropping it at 10 o'clock. They're dropping it at 11. And it's the same line as gold from 29.72. So it's gone down almost $1.70 now. On no profit taking, none whatsoever, just derivatives. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know. Somebody wants to buy it real cheap, but if you notice, it's the exact same thing. So it's price fixing. And it's frustrating, but we'll be okay. I mean, we know that's the place to be. There's no other place. And that's all we can do with it. So, again, being stoic, is it the correct move? Yes. Can we stay in dollars? No. Do we have any place else besides gold and silver? No. Can't be in stocks, can't be in Bitcoin, can't be in the banks. Is this demand going down? No. Is this the market softened? No. This is price fixing by the referees, like in football. This is totally price fixing, and it's the nature of the beast that they're going to try this shit. I thought it was just about over. I keep waiting for the rebound up, and it's still 23.41, 28.06. So I don't know how far they're going to try to take this. But you can see we had especially the silver was up to 29.75. Oh, we're going to hit 30 today, and there's no stopping it. And yet, here's this, bullshit derivative. How it's allowed, I don't know, but I think that's what BRICS is going to kill. BRICS does not want this, so BRICS will kill this shit. I don't know why the Fed is doing this because they're hoping the price. I think what they're trying to do is get out of all the derivatives they put in, and it'll never reach that price as it goes into the 24s. They're realizing we're going to be screwed if we don't tank the price to get out of our derivatives. So I would think this is near the bottom, this 23.41 and this 28.05. There's really nothing we can do. We understand the game, it's price fixed, but we also understand all these countries are buying gold. The dollar's going out. How much longer? I don't know. But we know BRICS is going to announce gold. We know Zimbabwe did, which means the rest of Africa did. So I'm just, I'm not really, there's nothing we can do about it. Again, we got to stay stoic. Being stoic means, okay, it's going down, but we don't have to sell it now. And it's going to go up. We know that because of the demand in the market. And we know this is not price. This is not selling. People aren't selling. This is derivatives because we're in the paper market. Once this goes to a physical market, we understand it. So we're okay. It was 22 something before. Now it hit 23 and 23.40. We had 24 this morning. I thought, great, we'll be 24.50 by this afternoon. And I thought silver would get to 30 because it was 29.75. And it's like at 11 o'clock, and you can see it on both gold and silver. It hits the same derivatives, and this is our inflation money that they're doing. So they're just tanking it to get out of their derivatives. I assume it's all fixed. J.P. Morgan is doing it, so we understand why they're probably getting out and dumping and getting out of the last derivatives before it got too high. But I would think that silver go right back up to 30 and gold will go right back up to 24.5, if not later today, because I don't think it's open on the weekend, but I think you'll see that. And again, this could be buying, but I'll tell you, I don't see much there. Now, this did cost me $670, where before it was $550. And again, it was at like 24.20 spot. Like had I come in now and bought it, it had to have been $20 cheaper. That's okay. That's the message. The point is, I got this, and I got these. That's the point. These were $32. Shit. These were $32. And, who cares? There we go. I knew there was another one. These were $32. And they've been 20. Last week they were 29. Who cares? $3. The point is, this is a weird one. I've never seen this one before. I mean, it's as long as it says 1 troy ounce, 999 fine silver. It's just a different company printing it. So, I was going to go in and buy a 1/10 of an ounce of this, but the 1/10 of an ounce was up to 270. And I'm like, I bought a lot of 250 and 220, not too much of 250. Most of mine have been 230, 220. And I said, no, it's not worth going up to 270 on it. And here's where this was 677. The US one, it's weird. I told the guy he had the 1/10 of an ounce maple. Let's get out of here. He had the 1/10 of an ounce maple leaf and the 1/10 of an ounce US at the same price at 272. But he had the US Eagle at 697 and this at 677. And I says, I don't get it. If your 1/10 of an ounce are the same, why aren't your 1/4 ounces the same? He doesn't know. So 670. So instead of paying 700, it's the same freaking thing. It's the 1/4 ounce, and it's just a maple leaf. So I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't like it in this plastic. I don't know if that means it's uncirculated or what the fuck, but I don't care. If I have it in this, you're not paying me based on the condition. You're paying me on it's a quarter ounce of gold. I got to get scissors for these. So, anyway, that was my fun morning. I mean, I'm seeing this price go through the roof. And, see, when I see the price go through the roof, I run to buy more. And a lot of people sell it. He said, a lot of people selling. I says, why? He says, well, when the price goes down. And I go, well, I said to the guy, he's kind of this isn't the owner. This is one of the clerks. And I don't really like him. And he goes, and he says, well, I go, okay, why is it going down? Riddle me that, Batman. And he doesn't know. Well, it will. I go, it's not going to go down because everybody needs to get out of the dollar. So nobody's going to sit there and why would you get out of the dollar? So the only reason gold and silver are down is by people not getting out of the dollar. It's by the people who own the dollar who want you to stay in the dollar, right? So they lower the price and now you go, oh, I'm not going to buy. See, the whole point of psychology. Well, I'm not going to buy I won't buy gold now because look, it's going down. I'll wait for it to drop or some bullshit that they're trying to do to scare people into not buying it. Because if you don't understand why you're buying it, you won't buy it. You don't. Oh, look, it's going down. Oh my God, I don't want to do it. This is a nice shiny. This is a. See, Canada, it's 9999. It's 4 nines. This is I can't tell. This is a 2009. It's really light. Real light, almost too light. But I'm not worried. It's maple leaf. It looks gold. See, I'd worry if it wasn't gold, if the color was weird. But this is a beautiful gold piece that was in this little plastic, which makes it authentic. So I'd rather have it in this. I'm not going to grade my coins. That's not the point of these. And I don't care if it's authentic. So it is small, though. It does look like well, when you see this next to the 1/10 of an ounce, it's definitely bigger. But beautiful coin again. So it gives me, again, it's not, I got to keep buying ounces. And I'm going to do my taxes tomorrow. Well, my taxes are done. I just have to pay them. I have to submit. I'm on Free Tax USA. I just have to submit it. It's all done. Just submit it and then pay for it. And I'm going to use a credit card and then I'll use some cash off the credit card. So I'm going to use a new card, put the money on it and then go ahead and pay it. I'll put 400 cash to offset it immediately. So I don't want balance on that. That's why I'm choosing this card. Anyway, so it was a nice, it always cheers me up, a nice, and at that time gold was going through the roof. So I was all excited. Now I wish I'd have waited, but if you notice, they're fucking around with the time. It used to be 10 o'clock, maybe a quarter to 10, boom, boom, and then buy. So when I see it jumping and then it's 10 o'clock and then it's 11 o'clock and it's still going up, I said, oh, good, we're not going to get that 10 o'clock bullshit. And you can see it's just, they're emptying their pockets. Keep in mind, you can print what you want, but it has no value. So in the short run, yeah, we're a little bit hurt by it. Today it's been going good, and then today it hurts a little bit, but soon it'll be right. So we know it'll go to 30 silver, and we know gold. We've seen it in 24, 27. So I don't see that, but this is where the problem is with COMEX is they do this shit, which is not free market. This is why we say invisible hand. This is what Adam Smith's saying about invisible hand. Keep the freaking government out of it. Let it go to the free market. And if we would have let it go to the free market, it would still be going up. And that's the problem. So by government interfering and not the invisible hand, we don't really know what the price of gold and silver really are. We know what this manipulated paper price is, but that's all we know. So anyway, Egon did one today. I'd like to show that one. Not much. It's a short one. But it covers a few things.
There's a difference between, let's say, a physical audit that raises a lot of questions because of the lack. There's a difference between, let's say, a physical audit that raises a lot of questions because of the lack of it. But there's also, let's say, a counterparty audit or a loan audit that should also be done. Just to clarify that picture, because of the amount of gold that has been possibly loaned out over the years.
Central banks count gold lent to bullion banks as their own physical gold. They count that, that's part of their assets. They call that gold. They don't say that we have a major risk here. We only have a piece of paper from a bullion bank, which, in my view, will go under because they can't meet their commitments. But central bank counts all of those IOUs from bullion bank as physical gold. And when they show that hand one day, which they will never do, but the world will see that they won't be able to deliver, of course, in the end. I don't think that is 8,000 theoretical is not going to help the US in any way, in my view.
If that wealth ends up getting destroyed, I don't understand how that value gets put into gold, because you articulated well that there aren't going to be many other options at that point.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, those values will be destroyed because, if you take private equity, for example, if there's no buyer for those companies, which means that they will not get any financing either, these highly leveraged companies, so they will fail, these companies. So the people who are invested in private equity will not have the money to put into gold. That's what you're saying. But remember one thing, Tom. There is only 0.5% of world financial assets in gold today. That's your answer. So even if a lot of assets, there's 0.5% of a bubble, so that bubble will come down dramatically, because world financial assets will decline by 50, 75, 80%, whatever. You don't need a lot more buying in gold for gold to go up because there's so little gold around. Mm-hmm. So therefore, no, there's not going to be several hundred trillion of financial asset that we have today in stocks, bonds, property, etc. That's going to go into gold, of course not. But it's going to be a fraction of that. It's such a small market that's going to drive the price up anyway. And of course, then at some point, gold will be, as I said, at a totally different price.
One piece we haven't really touched on yet is the idea of inflation. So let's just focus on the war spending that the U.S. is very likely going to be putting out on the horizon here. Does that equal deficit growth and therefore an increase in inflation again as well?
Yes, it's quite amazing how countries all around the West, the US, the Western Europe, they're all just signing checks for Ukraine of hundreds of billions of dollars, euros, or whatever, without obviously asking the people. If they want to spend that much of their own money, it will lead to much higher taxes and more misery for the people. No one is asked, do we want to send hundreds of billions to Ukraine to kill 500,000 or 1 million people or whatever? Is that what you want, my people? Nobody's going to say yes to that. Nobody's going to say yes to sending their sons or their daughters to a war where they are likely to be killed, or a high percentage likely to be killed. But this is again where leaders sitting in cozy offices or underground or whatever just take these decisions without actually understanding the consequences for the people. Debt financing at its worst, clearly very inflationary, because again, you're printing money that you haven't got and will never repay, and they'll be inflationary. And as I said, in the end, there won't be enough money around, interest rates will go up, and the countries will default at some point, although they will never admit it because they just print more. But then you get into the hyperinflationary scenario, which is very possible too.
How do you see the Fed kind of playing out or being able to work both sides of this equation? Do you see lower rates coming in to save the day when they have to refinance this debt that is coming due this year?
Two people pulling the cow from both ends, because whatever you do, then somebody's sitting at the bottom like the lawyers milking it. Whatever you do, you'll fail. Of course, on the one hand, the US government and the Fed cannot afford high interest rates. They must have them low because with the debt you're talking about and growing exponentially, they need low rates. Interest cycle has lasted since, it came down since 1980, basically. The interest rates are now up. They obviously, if you look at supply and demand, they should be going up. And you look at inflation. And my view is, and has always been, the Fed will lose control of interest rates because they would like, everybody talks about low rates, but they can't afford to low rate because also, then that you will have the dollar collapse. And you will have that anyway. The market, in my view, whatever the Fed wants, will drive the rates up, starting with the long end. The financing demand that the US government has in coming years, as you mentioned, the deficits will escalate dramatically, in my view, will mean that the rates have to be very high to get anyone to buy this debt. I think anyone who buys this anyway, treasuries, number one, that the currency will be worthless, and in my view, is also guaranteed that the government will never repay it. They will try all kinds of games because they won't have enough investments, except for the Fed buying very inflationary. They will now play games like they will force people to put retirement savings, to put half of the bank account, cash, etc., into US treasuries, probably at a very low rate, and then maybe with a balloon in 30 years' time. 2% now and 10% in 30 years or whatever of worthless money from a bankrupt government. That's, I think, what will happen. So people now who have assets in the bank, they run the risk of, as I said, having that money not confiscated, because the government will never say confiscated, but they will force them to put into things. That means that the money is blocked for a long time. And obviously that's bad for the economy also because nobody can spend that money, etc. But I think that's a high risk of that happening. They will try to do that in combination with the printing also will mean that, the whole banking sector, nobody will want to, people will try to do anything they can to get their money out of the bank. If governments freeze their money in the bank, that in itself will create a revolution. Either way, it's going to lead to massive problems.
As you said earlier, you're not necessarily just a gold bug. Does this lead you to look at other assets besides gold, like Bitcoin, as store of value through this tumultuous time?
Let me explain that I'm not into Bitcoin, and we are not in our company. To me, Bitcoin, was a tremendous investment for people who bought it for nothing just 15 years ago. So to me, Bitcoin has never been wealth preservation. Well, it's a digital money, obviously, and dependent on electricity, and governments not banning it. If governments really issue major amounts of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, I don't think they want Bitcoin to compete with that. And I think at some point they might easily ban Bitcoin. So therefore, I've said many times, Bitcoin might go to $1 million or it might go to zero. That's the binary risk that I see. For me, that is not a good investment. I stay out of Bitcoin. I'm not saying that it can't go to $1 million, but at the same time, I'm saying you could lose all your money at some point. Bitcoin short term, everybody is going into BlackRock, etc. That in itself is a bad sign in my view, not a good sign. When BlackRock goes, there's something wrong here. It could go up short term, but at some point, something will happen which will make it so risky that people regret that they held it. I might be wrong. I don't care. I stick to gold. I understand gold because, you look at Bitcoin and the volatility going up from nothing and going up to 65,000 or whatever, then going down to 15,000 and up to 30, 40, 50 again. Bitcoin can, of course, never be an alternative to money because of its volatility. Gold is much more stable than that. So therefore, it is an investment. It could be a fantastic speculative investment. We are more interested in wealth preservation, and from where I sit, I don't see this as a wealth preservation investment, so therefore we're staying out of it. For people who want to speculate, I'm sure they could make money if they're good at it and good at taking profit, but it's not for us. I don't, as I said, and I think the risk is very high that governments at some point will say, no, we will control the money, not the investors. And
All right, let me just see what Dario wants. Hey, Ron Weiss.
We will control the money, not the investors. And still today, you can't really spend Bitcoin in a normal way as you spend money. So, and I don't see that happening either, because that central bank will definitely say, we're not going to have a competitive money system here with our currencies. So that's my view on Bitcoin. But in the meantime, I wish good luck to anybody who invests in it, and possible to make money, I'm sure.
And how about owning a gold ETF? This is much easier.
Everybody
than
loves
trying
me,
to
Ron.
Store physical gold, but you brought up the idea of counterparty risk earlier, as well as just the actual ownership of something physical. So how do you see the risk of holding a gold ETF?
Holding a gold ETF is holding a form of paper, a claim on maybe physical gold. And if we investigate that, some of these ETFs like GLD, etc., probably don't have the gold, or is hypothecated many times and used many times, etc. Very high risk of that. And it's in the system. It's in the banking system. It's in the financial system. It's a paper asset. You don't have the physical gold. You just have a piece of paper.
Especially
So
football
that is
season.
not the way we look at wealth preservation. That's a speculative investment. If you're lucky, you get your money back. If you're unlucky, there wasn't enough gold there to meet the commitment to you, gold or the money you put in. So for us, that has nothing to do with wealth preservation. If you want to preserve wealth, you hold gold in physical form outside the banking system in a jurisdiction that is as safe as it can be. Nothing is safe, of course. It's all relative in the world. There's no safe place in the world, totally safe. But at least you should eliminate as many counterparties as possible and counterparty risk. And therefore, don't put your wealth preservation money in the financial system. You don't put it in the bankrupt banking system.
The Titanic.
There are the people who
Get off the boat.
JP Morgan and HSBC, with GLD, for example. And like all banks, are highly leveraged. JP Morgan has got one of the biggest derivative positions in the world. And so that's not the place to hold your wealth preservation asset in a paper form, period. And you can buy and sell physical gold very easily at a relatively low cost. Sure, it might not be. Well, if you hold an ETF like GLD, that all-in charge is about 40 basis points. Bigger investors doing it outside the banking system is not higher than that. Why then would you go to paper gold? Uninsured also, of course. Banks never insure it either. In our view, that's totally the wrong way of preserving wealth. ETFs is just another convenient form of dealing in paper money. There's only people who are not accountable and for what they invest. These are typical funds that buy these things because it's easy. They don't give a damn. They get their salary because they're investment managers. They get their salary whether it goes under or not, the ETF. So, we like people who have skin in the game who actually understand that this is a risk that I wouldn't take, so therefore I shouldn't let my customers take it either. That's how we look at the investments.
Excellent take on, for those that want more of your writing and your thoughts at
Skin in the game. Well, this is skin in the game, right, folks? I'm skinning the game. See, I don't do anything I don't tell you not to do. So as Egon says, physical, and I got skin in the game, so you can trust that I'm going to do that. We talked about trust last night. The other thing is, again, the Titanic, right? ETFs, Bitcoin, paper, Wall Street, stocks, banks, they're all the Titanic, and you need to get off the Titanic. So kind of ignore what's happening today. It's price fixing. It's JP Morgan trying to not lose all their money in the derivatives, but they're about to. But the problem is you have JP Morgan running the derivatives in gold. So of course he wants it down so he doesn't get killed on all his option and derivative positions. So that's the problem with letting JP Morgan, who, by the way, was in the Madoff Ponzi scheme. He controlled it as well as the SEC and the Russian mafia. So you got to realize who we're playing against here. So get off the Titanic. We're in the physical. This is what you got to be, not the ETF, not Bitcoin. That's the problem. Bitcoin's not backed by anything. When the dollar goes to zero, this will be worth gold. Bitcoin won't be worth anything because it's not anything and it's priced in dollars. Bought 10 gold backs today. What are gold backs? Are these new currencies? I saw those gold dollars, but that seems kind of stupid. But 1/1000th of an ounce each, foil gold. So is that the paper? Is that this? Because I saw one that's gold. Is it physical though, is it the same as this? Is it physical gold? Okay, well, if it's physical gold, then that's fine. Gold backs. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, so this was a quarter ounce. I paid $5.50 for this a couple weeks ago. Was $6.70 now, and the US one was $6.90. So you can see, and I went in just before the shit hit the fan today. But let's not worry about the price today. Let's look about the long term and the Zimbabwe and the BRICS coming up and the rest of Africa probably going gold back. And, they can only do it so much because, as he mentioned, the inflation, printing the money, the more you print, the less it's worth. So they printed a lot of money to do these derivatives today to keep the price down. At what point are they going to, and BRICS doesn't want that. BRICS wants higher prices. They want gold for oil. So BRICS will be in charge soon, not us. And you got to keep that in mind. And look at Africa. They don't want anything to do with the U.S. They've been killing Africa. So that's the start. I believe that's why it jumped to the moon last night and today was Zimbabwe and the gold backs. And then somebody at the Fed or, whoever Obama's appointed is like, no, we can't have this high gold price. Everybody will jump on gold. And we got to show it going down so we can show it's still risky. And that we know where it's headed. It's going to be back in the 24s up to the 25s. They can only play this game so much. But we see the key is we know it's not going down because people are profit taking. It's going down because of this bullshit price fixing derivatives. So if we understand that, then it's okay because we know we can see the demand is huge, and that's all we care about. Foil gold, each state has one. Okay, Ron, so where do you buy it at? So you're saying these are 1/1000th of an ounce gold backs. You bought 10, so you got 1/10 of an ounce. So I'm curious. So let's do some math here. Do you buy it at the bank or do you got to go to the coin store? Like where I bought mine, I can't get this at the bank. I go to my coin store. Now, how much is 1/10 versus buying a 1/10 of an ounce? Now, the 1/10 of an ounce, US and Maple Leaf today were $2.79, both of them. So keep that in mind. If you divide that $2.79 by 10, it's $27.90. So if you paid more than $27.90, you'd have been better off buying a 1/10 of an ounce Eagle or Maple Leaf. Now, if it's less than that, then you're better off as long as it's considered physical gold and not paper gold.
You want to know the key to fix?
All right, so that's good. Again, Christmas Eve brought up about Bitcoin going to 2.5. He's quoting Robert Kawasaki and he's quoting Cheryl Wood or whoever, Kathy Wood. And we don't pay attention to Keynesians and people like that because we know they're wrong, and then it becomes a vampire. We don't want to hear it because we know it's not right, and why waste the energy? $60 for 10, so you got a 1/10 of an ounce for $60. Oh no, you didn't. You got 1/1000, so you got 10 1,000s. I got to do the math. See, I'm talking 1/10 of an ounce. You got 10 1,000th of an ounce is what? 1/100th? $60 for 10. So if you bought, so you'd have to buy 100 of them to get an ounce then. So 60 for 10, so times that by 10. So that means you paid $6,000 for an ounce. Am I doing my math right? So 100, so 60 times 100, 6,000. Ooh, you're getting killed on that. Careful on that, Ron. Um, do it as if it's an ounce, right? So this was 670. So times 4, 12, it's 2,500. Okay, a little bit more, but reasonable because it was 2,400 was the spot when I was there. So times it by 100 is 6,000. So you're getting killed on that. So I would prefer you buying the 1/10 ounce for 250, 270 than that. I know it's cheap because it's $60. You're getting killed on it. It's sort of like the money line. You guys like betting money line bets, and I say, but you don't know. Bet 1,000 to win 100, and then but if you want the other team, you only get 300 to win. 100. 300, 100 will get you 300. And my point is, we don't know what the real odds are, and that's why I don't like money lines. So the guy walked into a coin store with $5,000 and asked what was the best way to spend it there. It's a pretty good video. So what was the best way to spend it there? For 5,000, I would have bought 2 ounces if you could, if they're under 2,500. Yeah, well, that's why I am the professor. It's everybody copies me mostly. So why would you buy? Is that all you had was $60? So I would take you here. These were $32 each. I would say to get these for $60, right? You get 2 of these for 60 versus you're looking at a $6,000 an ounce thing when the ounce is only 2,400. So I probably would have bought. So I would have bought 1/10 of an ounce unless you didn't have $279, and then I would have bought the silvers. Then my intent was to go buy silver today, which I got 7 of them. Right, so I got 7 of these, and these strange. This one I've never seen before. But I go to the owner. Are you going to take these? He says silver, and I go, okay. It just looks weird, and they have very few of these buffaloes left. I can't find them too often. I bought a lot of these. These are a little more popular, but all these are the same price. They're all 1 ounce of silver. So it doesn't matter. So I bought 7, but I'm going for the 1/10 of an ounce and 10 ounces of silver, but the 1/4 ounce was there at 670 and the 1/10 of an ounce went up to 270. So if you do your math, 1/10 of an ounce, let's call it 280. It was 279. So 280, another 1/10 of an ounce is now 560, but we're looking at a 1/4 ounce. So we need another half of the 1/10 of an ounce. Well, that will be another 140, right? Half of 280. So it's 280, 560, and 140. 60 is $700 for basically 2.5. If you buy the 1/10 of an ounce for the same, that equals a 1/4, or 675 for this. So this was better at 675 than 2 ounces, and then try to find the other half of ounce to get that. So this was cheaper than the 1/10 of an ounce because he raised them to 270. There are gold backs that I thought would be good if the shit hit the fan. I can buy stuff with them, plus they are cool looking. Well, right, just keep in mind, yeah, they're fun, and you bought a few, right? $60, nothing. And it's inflated dollars, so you really spent about $2 in real value, and you got gold, so that's good. So you can explain these to me. So you can go to Kroger's and use them. And what's the value on them? So I know what the value is on gold. You got 10 1,000ths of an ounce, or 1/100th of an ounce. 1/100th. Yeah, I'm buying tenths, right? So yeah, it's just be careful. It's don't buy too many of them because of that. But I know you just were bullshitting around. But can you take them to Kroger's? I mean, I'm never. I don't know. I don't know how they'd value them, but we will see. Each state has one. So, are you getting these at the bank or are you getting these at the coin store? I have tenths and ounces. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Oh, you buy them on eBay. Okay. Hmm. And can you use them then, or they're just like it's like gold? I can't really go to Kroger's with this, but if I need to, I go back to the gold store, and he gives me back $675 minus the little bit of dent we're getting today. And off we go. I don't know. Okay, so you just got them as a gold investment. That's smart. Any gold you can buy is better off. Anyway, we've talked a few times about the more money you print, the less it's worth. I showed you in a John Stossel one, in this one. The more money, why don't we just keep printing money? Because it doesn't have value. And that's really what inflation is. Then we go to this one. We looked at yesterday's Zimbabwe, and it's the same thing. They printed their money to zero. So the idea is you can't just keep printing your money. It will go. And, it's interesting. Janet Yellen goes to China and she went to Brazil, which is in bed with Russia and China. And what are they going to listen to this lady? I wouldn't listen to this lady. So, she doesn't want to, it's about the sanctions on Russia. So she's sitting there guaranteeing that BRICS is coming out with gold back because she says, well, if you keep buying Russian stuff, we'll sanction you. Okay. It's funny how all the Russian people, the Venezuelan and Brazil and all these people all have financial problems because they're all printing until they die here. But that's why they'll all come out with gold-backed currency, and they'll say, see what Zimbabwe did, and that's why it'll spark it. So I think what they're trying to do is say, oh, let's kill the gold price, and then they won't go out with gold-backed currency. We'll kill the value, but they're just out of their minds. It's the safest place to be is in a gold-backed currency. So that was Egon. I just saw him today. Mark McGuire did his show, and as you can see, it's not in my liked. I really didn't. Again, he's got a stupid guest on. So Mike's got this guy, and the guy's clueless. I don't know who he is, but we don't trust him. We don't know him, and we're not going to listen to him. And it was just a bunch of what we've already talked about, which is the gold and the inflation and the BRICS and everything else. And this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Why is he on there? And they all go by popular demand. Who's demanding this guy? I mean, I don't, and he's talking about miners. You don't want to be in stocks now. Anybody that talks to you about stocks just before the market's crashing is out of their mind. That shows you how little they know. And then, as I said, you got to get off the Titanic. Buying stocks is not getting off the Titanic. You're still on the Titanic. You're still sitting there in paper. It's all made off. It's all Ponzi scheme. So you can't, they control just like they control the price of gold, they control the market, right? So your stock, only the stocks they want to go up, they push up. Everything else goes down, and they can make them go down. So don't be fooled that the stock market is you guys asked me about his football fix, and I go, well, yes and no. It is a little bit. However, it doesn't matter because the teaser offsets the fix. Because again, the fix is the spread's 7.5, and the fix is you can win by 7 and no more. Not if we tease it down to 1.5, then the fix isn't in at 1.5. Fix is in at the real spread, not the teaser spread. So we outsmart them there. I can't imagine. Okay, you can't win by the spread's 7.5. You can only win by one because we know the Teaser King's got teasers out there, so we want to make sure of that. But you don't see that. Are you not allowed to click on links in chat? It would help to explain what I mean. Click on link. I don't know how these guys do it when they have that little, when they're adding things to it. I can click on a link, but you won't see it, right? Because I'm live, so I can click on my football page, right? But I can't show you my football page. I can't show you my trend page or all my statistical stuff on here. At least I'm not aware of. There should be a way of like picture in picture or that. I'm sure that's there. I've used it before in other things, but never on YouTube. I can ask those questions. What would you like to see? You want to see the gold backs? Well, I can do it on my phone. Is that what you want to see? Is the gold backs? Let's see if we're finally going up. Okay, it's finally turning. Silver went back to 28.04 and gold is now 23.36, down $40. So how can it go up $50 and down 40? But it looks like it's finally turning, and watch it roar back to 2,400 or something. Okay, so is that what you want to see, Ron? Is the gold backs? So I can do that. That's why I do this, and I show you. That's how I kind of get around with it. I'm a clever boy, as Daria has said. So here's a gold back. So let me know where you want to go with this, Ron. Utah gold back. Here's another gold back. The goldback is a family of local currencies marketed in 5 U.S. states. So I wonder which state did you get it? Lost by Goldback Inc. in Utah in 2019. Goldbacks contain a thin layer of gold within a polymer coating. Okay. Send me an email. What is the purpose of the goldback? The goldback is designed to be a local currency within certain regions where a series exists. Utah, Nevada, New Hampshire, Wyoming, and South Dakota. So we don't live there, so it's not helping us. For many investors, goldback are well worth the money compared to gold coins and bars. Goldbacks are extremely cheap. I disagree with that because of the value. It's $6,000 an ounce. That ain't cheap. I'd rather have gold coins. In fact, you might be able to buy your first goldback for less than $5. Are goldbacks real money? A goldback is an alternate currency made from real gold. Goldbacks are accepted at some businesses in Utah, so it's not real money. How much is a $10 goldback worth? One $10 goldback's worth $50. Are goldbacks legal? The goldback also may serve as a currency jurisdiction or as a possible barter tool elsewhere. For example, goldbacks are specie legal in Utah. The problem is you got to be in the casino, the goldback casino, and it's only in 5 states. So as I've told you about the Bitcoin casino and the Caesars casino. So again, This is worth $5, but it's only worth $5 at Caesars. And these goldbacks are good, but they're only good in Utah. And the Bitcoin's only good in the Bitcoin casino, nowhere else. Because if you don't have Bitcoin, I could not send Daria money because she doesn't have, if she doesn't have a Bitcoin account, I can't send it to her. I can send her PayPal. All I need is an email, but I can't send her Bitcoin because Bitcoin, you need to accept it with a Bitcoin account. However, the king is good anywhere. This is good in any state, any country, and really any place soon. But right now, yeah, I could take this. I could take this and go get ribs tonight, and he will take it. And it'll be worth, like, I don't know. If I bought ribs for $28 tonight and I gave him that, he'd take it. So I sent him a text. I sent him a text on Zimbabwe and everything. And he said, "Oh, the world is getting all screwed up." I said, "That's why we own gold, because the dollars are overprinted, but you can't do that with gold." Sent you an email. I did. Okay. Well, let's look at our email from Ron Weiss. What exactly are you telling us, Ron? I got a lot of junk. Bullion Deer revealed best silver and gold to buy with $5,000. Oh, okay. I'll get to that later. We already know what the best is. So again, I don't know them. I don't trust them, which was our conversation yesterday. So basically, you want to listen to people you trust. This is why I don't like half of Mark McGuire's guests. Who's that guy today? I have no idea. I don't need to check everyone to see if they're an Austrian or a Keynesian. Anytime you mention CPI, you're a Keynesian, because Austrians don't measure it. We measure it by how much money is printed. That's the inflation, not the prices. The prices are objective. You can only do it if the market will bear it. You can't just raise your price, and if nobody buys your goods, then you're screwed. As I show you when we go to the grocery store, and there's, Oreo cookies, they're $5 for the bag. Nobody will buy them, so now they're like, buy one get one free. That gets you back down to $2.50, but now you need 2 packs of Oreos, and I don't think anybody wants to eat 2 whole things of Oreos. Yeah, I probably did it in the email, but I don't want to go there right now. I mean, I'm not going to watch. I don't know what to watch on it, right? Let's see. So let's see.
My name is Katerina. I am Action Field Coordinator in Odessa.
I'm Vladimir, team leader. Let's say I walked in.
It's a 13-minute video, so I don't, Silver Dragons, never heard of them. So I don't know. Let me put it in my likes for now. I don't know whatever he says, it doesn't matter. We know what we want, which is we want 2 ounces of gold. If I have $5,000, I'm gonna buy 2 ounces of gold. That's for sure. Let's see. Oh, good. Okay, here we go. We're starting to go back up. 28.08. It had gotten to 27.95. I didn't want to scare anybody. Now it's 28.07, and gold's back to 23.42, on its way back to 24. See it. This is when I would buy the stock. So you can see the down. So I'm waiting. Maybe I buy it at 23.66, and then it gets dumped. And then it goes at 23.51 up a few, and then it gets dumped. So now is when I would buy it at 23.36. Well, at 23.38 as it's going up. And the algorithm should take us all the way back to 24. And that'll be it for the government doing this bullshit dumping of it, which really pisses me off. I mean, as they say in the attack on Wall Street, well, you gamble and nobody complains when they win, but they can, so they win some, they lose some. It's like, no. There's a big difference between betting a game and it loses and putting your money in the gold, and the government comes in and fucks everybody over by dumping it with derivatives. That is not the good thing to do. They said best way is to buy both silver and gold, even old quarters. Oh no. The coin store guy said that silver is going to fly. He has a TV up with live updates on prices. Well, okay, so what did I do with $800 today? What did I do? Quarter ounce of gold. So we can't get any more perfectly aligned timing wise. What did I do with $800? No, it's 8 something. What did we do? Quarter ounce of gold, 670, and 7 ounces of silver at $30 an ounce. That's what we do with $800, right? I could have bought all silver, and I know it's going to fly, but I know this is going to fly more. And this flies at $50, $60 a shot, and this keeps going up 10 cents, 50 cents. So yes, this is going to fly, but it depends. I have 600, now I have 625 ounces of this, but it depends what you have. If you have 600 ounces, you don't need the silver as much. The key is to buy something and get out of dollars. So the whole point is this is worthless, and the whole point is you're getting out of this. That's the key. Get off the boat's sinking. It hit the iceberg. I want to show you that video to explain the iceberg to you. So this is the iceberg video. Yeah, I think it's John Stossel.
And now, reporting from the debt clock in New York City, John Stossel.
Our government keeps spending. You know, we're already $14.5 trillion in debt.
35.
You could say, so what? Look around. America's doing pretty well. What's the worst that can happen? Well, it could happen. These violent protests broke out once Greece was so deep in debt that Greece had trouble borrowing more money.
So what is the old silver quarters? Nothing. If you notice, I'll get back to the video in a second. If you notice, I'm buying the metal, gold and silver. And that's what we need to buy. Why would I buy the old quarter? I got an ounce for $32. How much is a quarter? Why do I need an old quarter? Do I know it's silver? Do I know, is it, if this is 32, the old quarter should be $8 because it's 1/4 of the ounce. If it's a quarter ounce, so then it should be $8. So if it's more than $8, don't buy it. If it's less than $8, buy it. But you're buying it for the same reason we're buying silver. So when silver hits $100 an ounce, you'll make money on the quarter. The idea he's thinking is, well, when I go to Target or when I go to Costco, I can use the quarters to barter with and pay. And that's all bullshit. Forget the barter. People don't think they'll make change for this. Well, I have news for you. When the dollar goes out, everything will be priced in silver, right? Oh, you want milk? Quarter ounce. You want a steak? Maybe an ounce. You want, tuna fish, maybe it's a half an ounce. And so they'll have in the register a bunch of nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars, and the silver. And they'll be priced in that. So everything this goes to zero. So everything's priced in it, right? So my beloved Canadian club, so let's say it's $50, right? In $50. The dollar goes to zero. This goes to zero. This is now worthless in dollars. But then what happens? How much is it worth in this? And it might be one silver dollar to buy that. We don't know. We don't, because they got to adjust the price to real money, gold and silver, not the bullshit, not this bullshit money. But everything you'll be able to pay for it with this. Now it'll probably be like I showed you the Zimbabwe. It was paper money, and they had a little bit of coins for dollar stuff, right? They did have some like $1, $2 coins, but everything else was they had the dollars, which I'm glad. I don't want digital. That's bullshit. So the old quarters, I don't get the point. Again, I would much rather have this at $30 than how much you paying for the old coin. And what's the purpose of the coin? You're buying silver. Well, this we all know is silver, right? It's 999, 1 ounce fine silver. Do we know the quarter's fine silver? Well, we can go by date. If it's before 1965, we know it's silver. Or a mercury dime, we know it's silver. But basically, that's why I buy like I do. This is silver. This 1 troy ounce of fine silver. That's what I'm buying. I'm buying the metal. A quarter, whoa, it only if it makes sense. If it's actually 1/4 of an ounce and the price is 1/4 of the price I get. Otherwise, I'm not buying shit for barter. I have shit for barter. And so I'm not worried about bartering that if I have to. If I have to use the quarter to eat, it's just a matter of time till they come out with the dollars, till they switch from fiat currency to silver gold currency. Well, it's junk because, well, let's see. So what is the old 40% silver in them? I don't know. That's the problem, right? I don't know the rate of silver and how people will accept them versus I know this is an ounce of silver, and I know this will be accepted because it's very easy. 1 ounce of silver because we're buying silver. What's a quarter? I don't know. It's not going to say silver on it. It's not going to say it's 1/4 of an ounce of silver. So that's really the problem with it. And I don't buy any of that crap. I had one mercury dime that I had bought years ago, but otherwise I don't. I buy. You see what I buy? I buy ounces, and I buy mostly gold. As much gold as I can get. But when it's a little too, not that it's expensive. See, when gold's expensive, I buy 1/4 ounce. This was $670. That's nothing because I'm used to paying. I just paid $550 for one, so now it's $670. Who cares? The idea is collecting the gold, getting the gold in. That's the point: is buying physical, not ETFs, not stocks, and doing that. All right, let's go back to this.
The rate for Greece is 23%.
Veronique DeRougy is an economist with the Mercatus Center. She says street riots are just the most visible consequence of a debt crisis.
Greece goes on. They still serving the baklava.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Greece goes on. If you want to borrow money for a house, for a car, for anything, the interest rates that you face will be dramatically high.
Greece spent so much that by last year they owed more money than their entire economy produced. No wonder they're in trouble. We won't reach that level of debt until, well, pretty soon.
We already
We're
have.
on a clear track to a Greek.
Remember, this is 7 years
The
ago.
government cannot escape their law of gravity. When there's no more money, there's just no more money.
Well, the federal government can escape. The federal government
federal-
can print money.
The federal government can print money up to a certain point.
Government has been printing lots of money. Don't you wish you could do this? Of course, if we do it, they put us in jail. But governments are allowed to print money. Trouble is, when they do,
That leads to inflation.
because the more dollars you print, the less each one is worth. That happened in Zimbabwe recently. It took 25 million local dollars.
And this is why they went to gold-backed currency.
You had to carry armfuls of cash to go shopping.
You've saved money supposedly for your old age to be able to enjoy life or to be able to leave money for your children. Well, that money is going to be worth almost nothing.
So, printing all this extra money is bad. What are the other options? Well, the government can raise your taxes or cut its spending. Tough choices. Politicians are supposed to make these choices. So, what did President Obama do? He appointed a commission.
I'm asking them to produce clear recommendations on how to cover the costs of all federal programs by 2015.
They recommended $1 trillion in tax increases and $3 trillion in spending cuts. But the president didn't take those recommendations. That bothered even the liberal media.
The total debt is $7.2 trillion on top of the $14 trillion we already have. How can you say that we're living within our means?
I'm not suggesting that we don't have to do more.
In your fiscal commission, you had a majority consensus to do all this. It's now been shelved.
The notion that it's been shelved, I think, is incorrect.
What was the point of the fiscal commission?
It still provides a framework for a conversation.
Then,
Our debt as a share of the
What an
economy
idiot.
is already too high. But look at where it's going.
a Republican budget chairman actually came out with a serious plan, whereupon the president responded with his own plan.
Today, I'm proposing a more balanced approach.
I don't blame the vice president for falling
He's
asleep
practicing
during
for when he's
his
president
speech.
now.
It was more of the same. Obama said he'd eliminate waste and lower the cost of health care, but he proposed no specific cuts. And he said he'd raise taxes on the rich.
Millionaires and billionaires. That's who needs to pay less taxes?
Maybe not, but even if the president took every penny that millionaires and billionaires make, it still wouldn't be enough to cover the deficit.
The gap between revenue and spending is so big that no level of revenue could cover that gap.
The problem is spending. It's been increasing so fast, revenue can't keep up. Hence the talk about cuts.
We've taken a scalpel to the discretionary budget rather than a machete.
A scalpel? But a little scalpel won't make cuts big enough to keep us from falling into bankruptcy. We need something like this. We need to make bigger cuts or people will stop lending us money and we'll be as broke as Greece. But I understand why politicians are reluctant to make big cuts. Chicken! Look what happens when they try. About 20 years ago, the Democratic chair of the Ways and Means Committee was hounded by seniors for asking them to make small Medicare copays. They chased him and surrounded his car. The chairman fled to a gas station where he found his driver and made his getaway. His Medicare reform was quickly repealed, and for the next 25 years, most politicians ducked the issue until Congressman Ryan's proposal.
Doing it this way actually makes Medicare solvent.
Congressman Ryan's been booed too in his own district.
Don't cut my free spending.
Democrats say his Medicare plan is why this woman won a special congressional election recently, because she promised that she would
not decimate Medicare.
After she won, her supporters chanted.
See, as we're all going broke, but we'll have free, good Medicare.
We are all future seniors, that's for sure.
The message politicians get is don't touch our handouts, especially Medicare. In fact, don't cut anything. Give us more stuff.
Roads, bridges.
Transportation funding. We're all citizen lobbyists.
Citizen lobbyists descend on Washington to try to get more.
More money for transit. Funding for housing counselors.
We went to D.C. during the most recent budget session to try to find out why the budget only grows.
I'm attending a number of hearings. Most of them are appropriations related.
You have all these lobbyists who are there all the time so they can be close to the power that might hand them some goods in form of tax breaks or whatever it is the government is willing to give away.
We're just agents. That's all we are.
The American Forest Foundation.
Neighborhood Assistance Office.
National Urban League.
They all want the same thing.
We need additional funding.
There simply isn't enough money.
And so many lobbyists want the money that some pay bike messengers to stand in line for them.
I wait in line till they get here, and then they take over, and I leave.
After all, their employers have great needs. These insurance company lobbyists want more.
There's one I want to show you on. They kind of explain, and then here it is.
Hi, Forbes Riley here. Like many of you, I take my well-being as an absolute top priority.
It's no longer news that people all over the world are getting poorer. Hey, you might even be one of those who have been forced to battle economic situations out of their control. The funny thing about situations like these is that they affect everyone. Yes, everyone. Countries too. In fact, the United Kingdom is facing a debt problem that will have you thinking, maybe my Uncle Richard with debt issues isn't that bad. At the end of this video, you will have a pretty solid idea of why Britain might become a third world country if they aren't careful. The national debt of the United Kingdom is so huge that it is now estimated to be the same as its actual economic revenue. This is the first time this has happened since the country made a surprising recovery from its World War II debts. Britain owes a staggering amount of around £2.57 trillion, and it still borrows up to £20 billion a year to cover up its deficits. There is only one way this road is taking them, and it doesn't look nice. As interest rates go up, paying off debts becomes more expensive. Think about it. For every £100 a Brit pays in taxes, £10 is used to pay interest on what the country owes. That's a big chunk of money. Is this really the best way to spend it? For the last few decades, as the West's debts kept growing, economists have told us not to worry. To battle the rising debt, they came up with this idea called modern monetary theory. Basically, it says that countries can borrow as much as they want because they can just print more money to pay it back. And that's kind of what the Bank of England, US Federal Reserve, and European Central Bank have been doing with something called quantitative easing. But in recent times...
So that's the iceberg. MMT is Keynesian. It's like we can just keep printing money to pay for the debt. And they don't look at the consequences. Oh, no problem. Just keep printing and printing and printing. But you heard John Stossel 2 minutes before saying, well, you can't. You can only print so much, and then it becomes worthless and nobody wants it. Zimbabwe, and that's happening here, and in the UK, and in the Euro countries. That's the problem. They don't understand the consequences. Oh, we'll just keep printing and printing and printing. Look what they're doing now on the COMEX. What are they doing? They're printing all this money to lower the gold and silver so people don't want to buy it. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with these people? He called it junk silver. Well, it is junk silver because you don't really know how much silver it is. Versus this is not junk. This is bullion because you know it says 1 fine ounce of silver, and that doesn't. But it's it's how do you prove how much silver is on the quarter? It's really the thing. 288 for a roll of 90% silver Washington quarters on eBay. 288 for a roll of 90. What is 90% silver quarters? Is that so? It's 90% silver. So like this is 18 karat, which means 3/4. It weighs an ounce, but 3/4 of it's gold. The other quarter are other allies. So if gold was at 2,400, this would be minus. Say this would be worth 1,800 because it's 3/4 of it is an ounce. So it's not fully gold. There's other alloys in it. A 40 count. So 90% silver means that 90% of the quarters are silver. So again, so it's not an ounce of silver. It's 90% silver. So you spend 288. So do the math. 288 for 40 count. Each Washington has 90% silver. Okay, so you're getting 40 of these at, let's see, so it's about $8. 8 times 40 is 320. So 7 times 40 is 280. So you're paying a little more than $7 a quarter. However, you're not getting a full quarter ounce of it. You're getting 90% of it. So I superficially would just do this and net that. You don't need junk silver. There's no reason. I mean, if you have this instead of a 1963 quarter, you're fine. This is easier because this says. So let's say you're in a different country. You're in Russia. You're gonna give them a 1963 quarter, and they're gonna laugh at you. If you give them this, they're gonna say, oh yeah, that's silver. Okay, that's fine. They'll take it. See, again, it's where are you selling it, and what will they give you on it? So I would much rather be in this. I'm not really worried about having a quarter to buy what a Coke. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, just buy the bullion. Go to the coin store, buy the bullion. You don't pay tax, you don't pay shipping, and it's probably $31 for an ounce now. But I don't really see the value of the quarters. Even a Kennedy half. Is it a full half ounce of silver? It sounds like none of them are. Sounds like they're 90% silver, 10% of the other alloy. Like this is not 100% gold either. It's 75% gold because it's 18 karat. So you divide 18 into 24 karat. So it's 3/4 of it is gold, and the quarter of it is zinc and brass and whatever. What do you use to check prices? Well, I look at the spot. So I start with the spot. So I see this. So this is 28.04 for silver. This is 23.42 for gold. Then I go to my gold guy and I know what the spot is, and he charges like this is like 100 over spot or 75 over. What was it today? So spot was, the time I got there was probably 2,400. So you divide it by 4 is like 600. And then he goes so much over spot. That's how they make their profit, because they got to buy it at spot. So they don't make any money if they buy it at spot and sell it at spot. So they buy it at spot, mark it up, which they call the premium, and sell it. Then you can go on eBay and look at what they're going for on eBay. But I know my store is cheaper. One thing brought up today by the guy was all this buying at Costco. And they're doing like 3 million a month or something. And they're just gold bars from Switzerland. And their price, you got to use credit card, so they're going to charge you an extra 3 or 4%. You can't buy them in the store. And what's the price? I mean, now would be a bad time because they probably haven't adjusted for the 23.44 spot price. They might be at a different spot price, so you don't know that. So it's all a game. Really, the concentration, what you're trying to do is just buy this. Buy as much as you can. Don't worry about the price. Like I said, I bought one for $550 a little while ago. I bought some for $400 at the time, and now this was $675. I didn't know I was going to get crushed on this 1130 drop, but it'll be back. And again, I don't care. I'm not keeping track like that. This is not a stock where I bought Microsoft at 100. I'm going to sell it at 120. This is gold. This is just accumulating it, because when it hits 10,000 an ounce, I don't give a shit what I paid for it. What I do give a shit about is how many ounces do I have? How much physical do I own? That's why I don't want ETFs, and I don't want Bitcoin, I don't want stock. I only want physical, because that's, at the end of the day, the ETF's not going to help you. When the dollar collapses, the ETFs, everything priced in dollars goes to zero. How much is an ETF going to be worth in gold? Well, it's all bull. It's all a Ponzi scheme. The only way that to insure yourself is the physical. That's why Mark McGuire says, how much physical do you own? This is the only way to protect yourself. That's it. There's no option. ETFs are not an option, and stocks are not an option, because the market's going to crash. Everything on the Titanic is going to the bottom of the ocean. So all the stocks, the bonds, the Madoff, the banks, all that shit's going to zero. There's not going to be. Look at Zimbabwe, right? The kid's carrying 40,000, all this dollars to the grocery store to buy milk and bread. That's what you're going to be. That's why I'm showing you. That's what's coming. You can't stop it. You can't say we're the United States, it won't happen. If you keep printing, because this is what the MMT guys who are running the show say, just keep printing, it's fine. Well, you keep doing that, and guess what? You're going to be taking a bunch of money in a wheelbarrow to try to buy milk and bread. Or you can have this, and you'll still have one of these to go buy milk and bread and steak and everything else. No, it's not an app. It's just a website. It's Gold Money. It's goldprice.org. And it's just, it's right here. So that's all it is. So even though silver, it's still over 28. We still busted 28. We had gotten to 29, but look, it's still holding at 28. And gold still 23.44. So it took away its profit from this morning, but it's still way above. If you go back to Monday, we didn't see 23.44. So the question is, why does the central banks do the derivatives? Why do they want to keep the price of gold down? Why don't they just let it go free market? Because it's competition to the dollar. JP Morgan, a strong advocate of monopolies, wants you to be on the Titanic when it sinks. He doesn't want you off. That's what a monopoly is. This is the only thing you should be in, because the whole game is rigged to Wall Street and banks. And they want you in Wall Street and banks. So they want you in the dollar, because once you leave it, you leave the Ponzi scheme. I am no longer in the banks, and I'm no longer in Wall Street. I'll make more on this than I could in any stock, because competition from BRICS. This is why we love competition. It's the competition from BRICS saying, we're going to do this, which is going to blow this up, right? We're going to do this, gold-backed currency, and that'll give a good value. Just like the Zimbabwe, it's gold-backed currency versus this, which is not backed by shit. So therefore, this is gone. It's not, it has no value. This always will. But if you knew that, you would buy this and you wouldn't buy this. So that's what the U.S. wants to keep you in this. Sorry. But BRICS is saying, we're going to have gold-backed currency, and you choose. And of course, you're going to choose gold over the dollar 100% of the time, because you can't print gold. I cannot print this. This is it. I dug it out of the ground. I put a little mint on it. It's from Canada. It's a maple leaf, or it's a U.S. or Krugerrand or whatever the hell country it's from. As long as it says 1 ounce of gold or 1/4 ounce of gold, you know it's real, and you're fine with it. And it's just wait till the price goes up, which it will, because these idiots who are MMT guys, which means they're Keynesians, which means they're communists, want to keep printing this because they don't see that if you keep printing, it'll go to zero. So I showed you the lady was the Greece finance minister with John Stossel. And then this other one was just saying what the MMT guys say. Oh, it's you can just keep printing money. And that there's consequences of that. You can't do that. So therefore they have to realize that. The bell is ringing at 4:00. Yeah, but that's not for gold. The bell is for stocks. So the stock market's closed now till Monday, but not the gold. The gold market, well, it might end at, I think it ends at 6. It's not open on the weekends, but it opens Sunday night at midnight, I believe, because it's worldwide. So it opens in China, I believe, at midnight, and then England jumps in, and then there's a